Good evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to Talks with Tanya. It is Sunday evening, and let me just check and make sure that. All right, so she's alive. That we are live on Talks with Tanya. I am very excited again to be here today. Welcome. Hey, y'all. Hey, thanks so very much for joining. Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Talks with Tanya. My name is Tanya Bain, and I am your host of a most watched, thanks to you, news and talk show where we talk about what's on your mind. We interview guests of excellence, and I get to share my view with you. You will find me here on Tanya Inspires Weekly on Sunday at 8 p.m. and on Saturday at 11 a.m. on Anchor FM, on Talks with Tanya, the podcast. We come to you weekly because we're committed to educating, informing, impacting, and connecting by sharing information to build bridges and heal lives. I want to encourage you to share, and invite those of you, your friends and foes, because you never know who might need a word. And I get that saying from one of my marvelous coaches, Precious Brown. She always says, share, invite your friends and foes, because you never know who might need a word, okay? And certainly at times like this, we definitely need a positive word. So I'm going to ask you to go ahead and share or start a watch party. We have an amazing guest with us today. So before that, I want to make sure that you stay connected with Talks with Tanya on Facebook and Instagram under Tanya Inspires. Take a moment and like me on Tanya Inspires on the Facebook page. And you can go ahead to YouTube, where we are streaming live on the Tanya Inspires channel. I am grateful for that. And if you join me on Facebook, on YouTube, I want to make sure that you subscribe. All right, so you can hit the subscribe and also make sure you hit the bell so that you can get notification. I am asking for your continued support in sharing Talks with Tanya out into the larger community. Thank you. Hi, Aja. Welcome, Aja. I was just on your broadcast earlier today. You had an amazing guest on talking about how we can engage, our everyone really in voting, but particularly our Hispanic brothers and sisters, my family. That was a great forum where you share it. And I believe, type the young lady's name in there if you can, Aja. I believe it was Yvette, and I don't remember her last name, from Nemours. And she shared a wealth of information with regard to, how to get us engaged. Hello, hola chica, ¿cómo está? Welcome. Hey, welcome, Rebecca. Welcome, everyone. Thanks so very much for joining. Thank you so very much. So today, I really want you to become part of the discussion today. I have really happy to have an amazing guest today. And I want to make sure that you join us and share your perspectives and experience and questions on today's discussion. We're going to talk about Black women navigating race and gender in the workplace. And who better to have on the show that today than Faith D. Morris? And those of you who don't know Faith, Faith is a strong, outspoken leader in the labor movement in Delaware. And she really does understand the nuances about navigating, in the workplace, um, and particularly from the standpoint of the labor organization. She understands that the challenges of being a woman of color in organizations that are filled to the overflowing with institutionalized racism that we see manifested in the attitudes and practices, of both the institutions and individuals who have mindsets that are poised against the success of people of color. So I'm going to bring on our guest, Faith Morris. Here you go. Hey, girl, welcome to
Hi, how are you?
Tanya. I'm great. How are you?
I am well and blessed, I tell you.
I know. I understand. So, and this has really been the blessing of the guests that I have, been blessed with bringing onto the show. Um, they're typically people with whom I have intersected with personally, okay, over the years. And I can't even remember how many years ago it's been. We're not going to talk about it, okay?
No, we won't talk about that.
Faith was my neighbor. All right. And my next door
Next door?
next door neighbor. That's right. That's right. And that was a great experience. Wasn't that a great neighborhood?
It was. It really was. So,
It was very, just the folks that were in the neighborhood. And it was a diverse neighborhood.
it was very diverse. You had caring neighbors, neighbors who looked out for each other.
Hmm.
It really made it feel like, you know, good to come home.
Good to come home. It was the kind of neighborhood that I recall feeling like the neighborhood where I grew up. People talk about, kind of back in the day when you knew everyone
Yes.
was looking out for you, right?
Yes, it's true. It is so true.
Hmm. And I remember, kind of the whisper down the lane. It's just like, who is that down the street? What are they doing on our block?
I know, yes. That's what I said. You looked out for each other, you were safe. And, so it's a blessing to be able to find that in a community nowadays, so
We need so much more of that. I
yes.
believe we need so much more of that.
Yeah.
So fast forward, young lady, you have been busy. You have been busy. And I would be remiss if I did not share just a little bit about what you have been up to, in the meantime. Um, Faith has really worked tirelessly on behalf of working women and men to defend their rights and right to work and really ensure a better quality of life for them and their families. And really, as part of who Faith is, and when I read your bio, I was like, yeah, that's Faith. Okay. You really believe that by, we rise when we lift others.
Yes.
And that is really such an inspiration. How long have you been involved in the labor movement?
Oh, wow. Well, I retired after 32 years with the state of Delaware and spent my entire career with the state at the Delaware Psychiatric Center.
Wow.
Yes, so 32 years, and I retired in 2017 and became, well, let me rewind a little bit. How I got involved with the union.
Yes.
So when I started working at the Delaware Psychiatric Center, I was a nursing assistant. I worked on the unit where clients were admitted. So we got them right off of the street, midst of their illness. I worked the 3 to 11 shift. So I had to find someone to babysit my daughter. At that time, I had a daughter. So she was, I want to say, maybe in about the second or third grade.
Wow.
So being a single parent, you have to make sure that you have someone to watch your child while you're at work, and then, get them off the bus and all. So I had all of that in place. And so working at a 24-hour psychiatric facility, at any time you can get held over. And that happened to me. And so the supervisor came to me and said, we're going to need you to hold over because we don't have enough staff. Well, I couldn't. I said to her, I cannot stay over because I need to pick my daughter up from the babysitter. She said to me, well, if you don't stay, you're going to get written up. So in my mind, I'm thinking, you want me to choose my job over my child? Well, you're just going to have to write me up. So at that time, before that, I was like any other union member. I wasn't involved in the union, wasn't sure if I needed a union, wanted to know where this money was going to that was coming out of my paycheck because I couldn't see anything that I was getting for it. So the first thing I did when I got my write-up was I went to the union president and I said, at that time it was a man. And I said, they want to write me up because I couldn't stay. I had to go home. I said, so, I need to fight this. And he said to me, there's nothing we could do. And when he said that to me, there's nothing we could do, something lit inside of me, for him to, I'm like, you're my union. You should at least fight for me. When he said there's nothing that we could do, that's what sparked. I got involved. I became a shop steward. I started, working, educating myself on the contract, reading the contract, knowing all the ins and outs. Rose through the leadership of my local union. I went from shop steward to being on the executive board. Went from being on the executive board to becoming vice president. And then the president was, at the time, the president was being promoted to a management job. And as the vice president, I became appointed as the president. And from there on, I was reelected as the president. So that's what got me involved in the union. The fact that somebody said to me, there's nothing that you can do. I said, that's not good enough for me. And
Mhm.
Say that to anybody who comes to me. That's what I said as a union rep. And I've never said to anybody else, there's nothing you could do. So that's just a little background on
Wow.
got involved was somebody told me there's nothing that could be done.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so we know that was a while ago. Okay.
That was a while ago.
That was a while ago when that happened.
Yes.
So what has changed since then?
Well, I'll tell you, since then, um, we pushed the agenda that no one should be put in a position where they have to choose between leaving their children at home alone and staying on their job, being,
Mhm.
you know, subjected to being disciplined for choosing to be home with their children. So from that happening, we pushed the agenda that the policies at the psychiatric center would change and that a policy would be put in place that they would be held to higher standards to make sure that they had the correct coverage on the units, so that no one would be put in a position where they had to choose to go either stay at work or leave their children at home alone. So, just kind of working with the administration and saying, look, no one should be put in this position. No one, especially a single parent. It doesn't only have to be a single woman, it could be a single father taking care of children.
Mhm. Mhm.
So working hand in hand with the administration, and I can say that during my tenure as the president of the local union, I built an awesome relationship with each hospital director that came in. I would go to their office and personally introduce myself and say, I'm Faith Morris, president of the local union. Hopefully you won't be seeing me a lot, but and they would always tell me that my reputation preceded me. So
That was a nice way of saying you are not to be played with.
yeah, people just want to be treated fairly and feel respected for the work that they do. We come in and we give you the hours that we're contracted to work for. We just want respect back.
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. I have an inbred, affection for the union, and I shared the story with you earlier. When I was growing up, my father led the kind of lifestyle where he would get into good trouble.
Yes.
And so he was part of forming, he was a union organizer. And I recall growing up as a young girl going to these meetings, okay, and I didn't know it was a union meeting. And I remember, it was kind of the highlight for me to show off my reading and my speaking skills. Little did I know it would kick in now, right? And so I was attending union meetings, and we were interacting with families, and I recall the care that was taken for the families of the employees. So, so this is going to, we're talking about 1960s. Hey,
Not that long ago.
not that long ago. And, we have been blessed, like you said.
Yeah.
But that is something that was ingrained, in me. It's the experience that you had that really triggered you into taking some amazing action. So, as as president of the locals, how many people were or organizations or locals were you responsible for?
Well, at the time I became the local union president, we had a membership of close to 400 members at any given time. During my tenure, the makeup of our organization, which is AFSCME Council 81, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees. So the makeup of it is Council 81 is the district council here in Delaware, and under the district council are local unions. So during my time as being the president of my local at the Delaware Psychiatric Center, I also became elected as the president of the district council, which I still hold that position as the president of AFSCME Council 81. So under the umbrella of District Council 81 here in Delaware, we have close to 55 local unions consisting of state, county, municipal employees in both the public sector and private sector. And we represent a little over 6,000 members.
Wow.
So state workers, Newcastle County workers, City of Wilmington, Smyrna, Kent County paramedics. Oh gosh, Wilmington Housing, the Parking Authority. We have we have a large union family here in Delaware.
So it sounds like, would it be fair to say that the state or the government is the largest one, or if not the largest, one of the largest employee bodies, in the state of
Within
Delaware?
AFSCME, yes. The state makes up the majority of our membership, almost half of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is interesting. And you also served in another capacity with the Delaware Coalition of Black Trade Unionists.
Delaware CBTU, yes, Coalition of Black Trade Unionists.
So tell me a little bit about that organization.
The Coalition of Black Trade Unionists is an international organization started 50 years ago by some African American labor leaders who, at the time, I want to say it was Nixon and McGovern running for president. And the AFL-CIO at that time was going to take a stand of neutrality and not endorse anybody in that race. Well, these labor leaders, which consisted of Dr. William Lucy, one of the founders. He's actually now the last living founder of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. They came together and said, for African Americans in labor unions, we can't afford to be neutral. We can't afford to be silent. We have to take a stand. We have to have a voice and make sure that our voice is heard. So from that, they decided to put together the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists. And we will be celebrating our 50th anniversary next year in Chicago, God willing, and COVID goes away. So, and yes, that's what we do. This past Saturday, we had our National Day of Action.
I saw you.
And all of our states, we're just pushing to how important it is to get out the vote. Get out and vote. This is one of the most important elections, if not thus far in our lifetimes.
Mm-hmm.
So it is so important that we get out and vote and do what we can. So, yeah, CBTU is a very, very, very strong organization. And I'm really sad that I found out about CBTU so late in my union career. But once I found out about it, another fire was lit in me. I joined, became active, and I currently sit on the executive council of CBTU International as a member at large.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just one of those crazy, kooky things about me. When I get involved with something, I want to jump in with both feet.
Both feet, that's okay. I remember that, Faith.
I tell you.
I remember that. You are also active in another organization. I believe it's the NAACP, because you were at the
Yes.
last year. Yeah,
Yes,
with
you are great.
Nicole. Yes, won an award. Shout out to Coley.
Yeah,
Won
that's
the,
right. Oh, we
yes.
were so honored to have her as one of our awardees. You know, Coley, I remember her running around the yard, and to see the beautiful woman that she has grown into, it just does my heart so good. And I just want to say to you, you have done an amazing job as her mom. So let me tell you, you be proud of that, and always. So
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. As they say, we're kind of cut from the same rug. Okay.
yeah, yes,
We're cut from the same rug, and we do what we do, and we walk walk the talk because we want to make a difference.
yes,
We think about our families first. Of course, your daughter Tanisha and
yes.
Marcus and the grandchildren, is it Amira?
Amira, yes, and Jalen and Aaliyah.
All right, see?
Yes,
It is all about our families. I'm just going to kind of pivot a little bit into, I love your story. And, we want to kind of share a little bit about, chat it up about, Black women navigating race
hmm,
and gender in the workplace.
yeah.
In your experience, what kind of experience can you share with us, when it comes to, that topic?
Well, first, let me say that we have had some awesome female labor leaders, African American labor leaders, trailblazers. We have just to name a few: Arlene Holt Baker, who served as the executive vice president of the National AFL-CIO. You have Cleola Brown, who's the president of the A. Philip Randolph Institute and was the international vice president of Amalgamated Clothing and Textile Workers Unions. You have Addie Wyatt, who was the international vice president of the Amalgamated Meat Cutters. So we stand on the shoulders of some awesome, awesome, trailblazers. But as a woman of color, just navigating your way through work, labor, union labor leadership, it's difficult and it's tricky. And one of the things that I always had to tell myself was, I could do this. You can do this. Because when you, as a woman of color, whenever you use your voice in getting a point across or standing up for yourself, or whether it's the person sitting next to you in a grievance hearing, sometimes you're always seen as that angry Black woman.
Mm.
When what you are feeling is passion, you're feeling passion because you have this person sitting next to you who is depending on you to help them in any way that you can. A table sitting from you at any time could be all white men. It could be white men and white women. So you have to navigate your way through that. So now on the other side, on the executive board rooms, sitting on executive boards and having a voice, you have that what I call the illusion of inclusion, meaning that you're in the room, so you're in the room and they feel like they've done something because they've let you in the room. But what I always would say is, it's good to be in the room, but it's great to be at the table.
Mm.
And so when you're at the table, what I've learned is, and I've learned how to navigate my way through that, because as long as you're sitting at the table and you're silent, they feel like you should be, that's good enough for you. You should be with that. But as soon as you start speaking, they want to look and say, now wait a minute. Now wait a minute. You're kind of pushing the envelope some.
Mm-hmm.
But as long as you're knowledgeable about what you're talking about, and what you're talking about makes sense and make them think, it becomes more accepting. But to me, I always have it in the back of my mind that it's the illusion of inclusion.
Yes.
Whenever I get the chance to use my voice, I use my voice, and I make sure that not only am I in the room, but I am at the table.
Yes. Oh, I like that.
So
The illusion of inclusion, and you highlight some very poignant points with regard to speaking up. And I have the tendency to speak up, and typically with data. And I have most recently been attempted to been chastised for making points based on data. Okay. um, and it was, you kind of, well, for me, because I'm retired, I'm semi-retired, um, you kind of forget a little bit until it slaps you in the face again. Okay, it slaps you in the face again. So this is really such a good way to remember that it is the illusion of inclusion, but that didn't shut me up and never will.
no, you can't do that. It's and doing my research, because coming on here really had me nervous, and I shared that with you. Then I'll be nervous because I'm not used to this. I'm not used to sitting down and talking, and I'm always used to defending people, defending our stance, defending why people deserve raises, and defending why they shouldn't be laid off. But I found that women make up 44% of the labor movement, but a smaller percentage of the union leadership. So I've always felt like the leadership should look like the membership.
Mm.
So if you have a diverse membership, there's no reason why your leadership should be all white men.
Mm-hmm.
So, so sometimes you have to kick the door in, you have to demand that more diversity be, put into play, that it has to be made part of the agenda.
Yes.
But, and sometimes they say, oh, why do you always have to play the race card? But it's not the race card. It's just wanting to be part of, what we're supposed to be a part of. We should have a place at the table.
Absolutely.
So it's, what I found was, and what I used to do is, again, going back to, we rise by lifting others.
Mm-hmm.
It would be difficult for me at times to get women or women of color to believe that they could be leaders.
Yes.
They would be happy being shop stewards, and that's fine and good. If that's where your comfort zone is, that's fine and good. But I would see something in them, and I would say, you can be a leader in this union. You can do this. If I can do this, you can do this. I see it in you. So I would have to pull them along. But then once they came along and they saw it, it pulled something out of them.
Yes.
And that does my heart good. That really does my heart good when I can show someone something inside of them that they don't see inside of themselves.
Exactly.
So
That is absolutely something to be proud of. One of the
Alicia is 100% right.
yes, Black women need to support other women in leadership roles and hold them accountable. I was able to move through the ranks in corporate America because there was what I called the Underground Railroad. Okay. And there were those women ahead of me, Dorothy Frisbee, Brenda Tilden, Alzetta Tan, all of these people, okay, who had arrived before I did. This one particular manager, her name was Betty Vaughters. I was working in Chester, Pennsylvania, and I was given an opportunity to go on to a special team, and I remember her pulling me in the office, and I thought she was going to congratulate me or whatever. Mm-mm. What she gave me was the call to action. Okay? She also told me I needed to perform, 3 times as good as everybody else. So that was the expectation. Again,
Yeah.
pressure. And if we're talking about, this issue in the workplace, that is a real stress and a pressure that exists for us as women of color. Okay. But I was told that, and I was also told, okay, that I needed to make sure that I brought someone along that was qualified, that I mentored someone.
Yes.
Okay. So as my coattail was being pulled and I was being dragged, you know, um, into positions of leadership, I was also held accountable for that. One of the things that I'm finding, though, is that I'm going to say, in my experience, towards the end of my retirement, close to my retirement, that we were starting to move backwards a little bit. Okay. And Alicia brings a perfect question for me to segue. She says, by the way, glad to have faith in that role for so many years. How do we change the environment to ensure that things are different moving forward? Where is the change? Where does that change happen?
Right. And it's change is, how they say change, people don't like change, people don't, you know. So change is slowly happening to move some of the people out of the way that have kept things the way that they are for so long.
Mm,
Um, but you not only come against um, the history that's there, that people feel like, oh, we're okay with the way things are. You have to fight against the support that history has.
mm,
So a lot of times, you may be the lone wolf standing, which I'm okay with being the lone wolf standing as long as I can keep yelling and saying, this needs to change, that needs to change. It cannot stay the same anymore. It has to change. So Alicia is 100% right. And I want to say change is happening. You can kind of feel it. You can kind of feel that there's a shift happening, not just with this COVID thing happening and our people rising up and our people saying, we're ready for change and we're going to fight for change. But there is a shift happening. I think on a lot of levels and a lot of layers, and so people are starting to feel that we need a change. But
mhm.
people aren't comfortable with change. People,
Yeah,
and they will fight you. They will fight you on change.
absolutely. So, let's talk about it. This is Talks with Tanya. The state of Delaware, okay, does not particularly have, as an employer, does not particularly have, as a matter of fact, let me just talk about it. They have a horrible, horrid, illegal,
Mhm.
okay, stance on the things that are happening, to, just employees across the board, let alone, okay, employees of color, let alone
Yep.
women of color. So,
Mhm.
what kinds of things are happening for you, in terms of that, and how you interact in the state of Delaware?
Well, it's like I said, it's a constant fight, and we always say the state of Delaware is the worst employer that you can have. So that we deal with. We can't, like, we fought so hard for Senate Bill 8 to get passed down in Dover in the legislature. Senate Bill 8 gave state workers the right to go to the table and negotiate for their wages, for pay raises. Because for years upon years upon years, state workers couldn't go to the table and negotiate for wages. We basically had to sit back. It was like Thanksgiving. The table is full of food. Everybody else comes to the table and eat, and then once what's left over, then will be divvied out to the state workers. So we never had the opportunity to go to the table like our other colleagues, the county workers. They can negotiate for their wages, their pay wages. City of Wilmington can negotiate for their pay wages, but workers for the state of Delaware could never go to the table. So we were able to get that passed, only to hit another wall with COVID-19 happening. We were at the table negotiating contracts, had wage proposals in place, and we got hit with the state taking wages off of the table because they didn't know what the financial impact of the pandemic was going to be on
Hmm.
the state of Delaware. So we just, like I said, you have to use your voice. You have to use your voice and not be afraid to be singled out as that person, that squeaky wheel that's always, saying something, speaking up, but like I said, it's difficult. Changing the state of Delaware is just, it's very difficult.
You know what? I see. This is perfect, and I
Yes,
hope she's
yeah,
okay. I hope she's okay with it. I see Danielle Hall in the audience, because my vision is this great audience filled with people that
yeah,
I'm looking at, and
yeah.
um, so Danielle. Okay, and I did this to her before. I was on another show, and I asked her to jump on. Give me just a
But,
moment, and
but
I
I
am.
see her typing in, and yep, I met her. She's an amazing person.
Ooh, perfect. Okay, one thing. Let me just do this while she's getting ready to get on. Um, Alicia has an amazing. This people need to know the state of Delaware. Inequality and discrimination is perpetuated by structural racism. Okay, so the leadership change is needed. Danielle, I hope you're ready because I'm going to ask you to join, and all of us can be on here. Give me just a moment to work the technology here. Okay, wait a minute. Here we go. Wow.
Ah,
Danielle, you know what? Thank you so very much. This is like the second time I've asked you to jump on like that.
Can I tell you that the rain let me sit inside my house today? My people are downstairs eating a home cooked meal. My husband has had to take care of all that good stuff while I've been out on the campaign trail. Look, I got my hat on because I've been out in the rain. It's been a crazy day, but I always enjoy tuning in.
Thank you so very much. So I know you know Faith.
we, we've met. We met on primary day, and I was so looking forward to her coming in and speaking to the membership of CBTU. And I said, it doesn't matter to me, what your party affiliation is. We want to hear your platform. We want to hear what you have to say, how you're going to make things different for the people of the state of Delaware. So, we missed that opportunity. And again, I want to say, I apologize for any mistake.
It's okay. It's all right, baby. It's all love. It's all love.
So
Things
but
happen.
yeah, absolutely. She I met her for a short period of time on primary day, and I was like, come and talk to us. You come and you talk to us, because it's, and Alicia's words are not up there anymore, but it's like you keep getting more of the same. Look, she put it back up there. Thank you. You keep getting more and more and more of the same. And at some point you have to say, we have to do something different.
Yeah.
We have to do what's going to be best for our people, for the citizens. You have to, you look at that, because you stay in the rut, you keep spinning your wheels in the mud, and all you're doing is getting dirty. So you have to, change has to come, sometime. So
I love this. Danielle, so who would have thunk it? Okay.
I'm so glad to hear Faith's story, because it's very similar to mine. I was working for the U.S. Department of Labor, and they hired me in that position because I was a disabled veteran, and I was able to negotiate my work hours and my schedule prior to accepting that position. Honey, I got in there, and within 4 weeks, upper management said, oh no, we need her to change her hours. Now I had 8 babies and 1 on the way. Okay. Yes. So I knew that I needed to be able to have my schedule set so that I didn't have to incur before and after care for my kids, because I was already going to have to commute from Dover to Wilmington every day. So I had it set up so that I could be at work between 7 and 7:30, be done around 3:30, so I could hit that ride home without hitting that traffic. Okay. So that meant that, my husband had to get him off to school, and I'd be there to pick him up. So they said, oh no, we need you to work 8 to 4:30. And I was like, no, that's not what I negotiated. And so at that time, I was working out of the Philadelphia regional office. It was a federal level job. And, when I come in and done all my paperwork, they had offered union membership, which wasn't mandatory as a requirement of the position. But I had decided that I wanted to get involved, because when I was studying my master's degree program, I did collective bargaining, and I was the lead negotiator for labor. And somebody compared me to Condoleezza.
That's right.
She froze a little bit there.
Yes. She'll come back, I hope.
Wow. Yeah, it'll come back. So, in terms of how the union supports, women in
Downstairs.
the workplace.
I'm sorry. Did it come back?
You're back.
For a second. Yes. But I was saying that, I had an opportunity to get in on that. And I was glad that I took the opportunity, because it saved my job. And so when I went to my union rep, I told him what was going on. He flipped through the manual, and we figured it out together. And there was a process. And so a lot of people don't understand that there is a process for them to do those kinds of changes. They have to give you the thing in writing. It's a couple of weeks turnaround, and nobody would ever be the wiser. So after I went through that process, I ended up being the shop steward. And so I went to training for it, and I really enjoyed the experience. So, until you get into situations like that, you really have no clue what people can do to you. And there are a lot of working moms out there. And more than not, it's the moms that have to take the sick day when they're sick. Their jobs are the ones that are always threatened, because traditionally the man leaves that to the woman to take care of, and nurturing the children. So it seems to me that it's our jobs that are always on the line. But
Right.
I mean, I appreciate you for what you have done and the leadership role that you have taken, because as you can see, I'm Air Force veteran, and when I served, I was in aircraft maintenance. Now, out of that squadron of 400, there were 3 women. Okay, and out of the 400, there were 3 Black people. So I caught it both ways. Okay, I can honestly say that I left it better than I found it, because
Right.
we have to have champions of change in those kinds of environments. And sometimes it's just about bringing a greater understanding. But there are a lot of people who are constantly resistant to making that change. So I'm trying to remember what the gentleman's comment was earlier. He said, change is easy. It was
Change is inevitable. Apostle Frank Burton.
Yep.
transformation. That's
Easy,
the
but it's
word right
inevitable.
there. That's right. The
Absolutely.
transformation. It's a renewing of your mind. And the only way you can do that is if you have somebody who is willing to usher in that spirit of conversation, and it's got to be transparent. You got to have, honest, open dialogue, and there has to be a willingness in the room, to address some of these things.
Yeah.
Tanya wants to say something. I see her.
No, I am
Okay.
such in
But
awe.
the other thing was,
I love this.
you can come into a room, and you cannot feel included in that room. You are absolutely right. And you can have a seat at the table, but you don't feel invited to sit at that table. Okay.
Yeah.
So I get it. But you know what? I'm that chick too, that I'm going to continue to push, because you might not like me there, but you're going to deal with it, because I'm not going away, and I'm going to constantly push until we get some serious change. That's why I decided to run, because I got tired of being, the working mom. I have a general contracting business. I'm tired of not having the diversity and inclusion in the bid process. I see where Black people are just not able to get a seat at the table when it comes to contracting opportunities. And when Governor Carney was running for office in 2016, I sat at a roundtable discussion where he was asking about what our experiences were. Now, there were a whole lot of people in that room that had been in business a lot longer than I did. And I just wanted to sit and listen to the conversation and see where I fit in. And he circled all around the table. He got to me. He says, well, ma'am, I haven't had an opportunity to hear from you. I said, well, sir, I'm an ethnic minority. I am a gender minority. I am a disabled owned veteran business. Why is it that I check all those boxes and I still cannot be awarded a contract opportunity? I'm still waiting. It's 4 years later for that answer. So we don't have an opportunity.
No, a lot of things are, a lot of things need to change on the state level. One of the things that we deal with, and we try to share with our members the importance of being a member of a labor union is Delaware is an at-will state. And for those who don't know what that means that if your employer doesn't like the color of your hair, if your employer doesn't like the clothing that you wear, they can terminate your employment. So with a union, being a member of a union, at least you have a process to fight in order if you feel like you have been unjustly disciplined or unjustly terminated. You have an opportunity to go to the table and have your say there. So we try to explain this to people because, with Janice hitting the lawsuit, Janice at the Supreme Court now gives, a lot of our jobs, being in the union was a condition of employment. That's no longer the case. So people have the opportunity to opt out. We try to tell them the importance of being a member of a union, to your strength in numbers. You have to be willing to stand and fight and be involved. So that's one of the things that there are a lot of things wrong as far as the way the state operates, so it really does need to be looked at. And that is one of the things that need to be looked at. That being at will state law needs to be taken off the record.
This is, I'm really honored to have the two of you here because, and I want our audience to see this, okay? Because at the end of the day, these are the people that we need to support. And, faith at the local level, okay? And also opening the door and being a mentor to other people. And Danielle taking a tremendous risk, okay, for us. So while you're here, tell us, you're in a unique situation in terms of, and correct me if I'm wrong, of, party affiliation and, who it is that you are here to support.
Well, the conversation is very necessary. It's very strategic for us as Black and Brown people to have our agenda represented on both sides of the aisle. Mm-hmm. So as long as you are a person who embraces the heart of what the people are needing, that's the kind of representation that we really need to have in office. So, I've had to talk to people all up and down the state about voting your values over your party affiliation. It's people over party. You have to be willing to be an educated voter. You have to look at where people stand on the issues. I've been very open about my phone number. When people call, they are always shocked that I answer my telephone. They're like, "Oh, this isn't a campaign number. This is actually the candidate." And I said, "Yes, because I'm willing to earn your vote." I think that as a lifelong Democrat for 30 years, my son is crossing in the background. You guys will see my
okay.
But I have 10 children, so I have 4 full-timers at home, and 6 have emancipated themselves from my wallet. Thank you, Jesus. But you'll see, some noise or hear something. There he goes.
Right. That's
right. Family first.
That's it.
When your houses are home,
that's right.
What happens.
That's
Before
right.
we came on, I told my granddaughter and my daughter, turn the TV down, get off the phone. So it's,
you get it. I know you get it. But the long and short of it is that I'm accessible. I'm willing to earn your vote because for 30 years as a Democrat, I would always ask my leadership, to take a look at the things that I found I was needing. And I didn't hear from a lot of them until it was time for election or re-election. And then they come around and they try to hustle your vote because you need the Black vote to come up and show up for you and whatnot. But we give our votes away for free. And it really wasn't until somebody kind of challenged me a little bit on why I was affiliated the way I did. I was actually campaign manager for Lamar Gunn, who ran for this office back in 2016. And he asked me, he said, "Well, why are you affiliated that way?" Because when he told me he was Republican, I looked at him like, why you that, And so he asked me, "Well, why are you affiliated the way you are?" And I said, "Because my parents were." And so he gave me, one of those little political inventories, and I took the test, and he handed me back my paper and said, "Congratulations, you're a Republican." My mouth hit the floor. Do you hear me? I said, I'm educated. I gotta fact check that one. So I went and found me a couple more online, and I took them, and all of them had me being a right-leaning centrist. My fiscal conservative values lean me right. I have a master's degree with a concentration in finance. And I'm a numbers girl, so the numbers always really spoke to me. And I always wanted to see that we had transparency and accountability in our spending, because I always felt like the money never got down to me, and it never made it out to the people who really needed it. And so that was something that's always been, a sticking point for me. But a centrist means that I'm moderate on most issues. So I would be, a moderate conservative. And, I tell people all the time, if you think about the swing of a pendulum, it's only at its extreme right or left a very small amount of time. And most of the swing is spent in the middle. And that's where we are mostly as people, is somewhere in the middle. So when I talk to people about the fact that, I want to see education reform, these kids are coming coming out of school, not on reading level. They're not career college ready at the alarming rate of like 40%. I'm one of those women that can turn a wrench with the best of them. Okay. And I learned to have a desire to want to do that because of things like shop in school. We don't have those kinds of things anymore. There's no viable pathways to the trades unless you can get into a vocational program. And those slots are few and far between. So what's happening to most of our kids that don't want to go to college? We got to
that's
have
what we're fighting for also. Yeah, we're fighting for that pathways to leadership, the trade unions and all of that. We have to make sure that the money is there to allow those who do not choose to go to college. That's fine for those who do, but college isn't for everyone.
It's not.
Those who, like you said, can want to turn a wrench, who love carpentry, love electrical work, working bricklaying and things. So, we have to make sure that, apprenticeship programs and, support for the trades are there. So, and it's I'm glad to hear you say that, Danielle, that, you were given a test to determine, where you fail, because a lot of people feel like they have to go straight Democratic or straight Republican. And you don't really, you shouldn't be put in a position where you have to do that. It's just these times are just so crazy that when you see other people affiliated with a certain party,
yes,
are afraid. People are afraid to vote a certain way because of the people they feel that they are going to be supporting, and they don't want to be associated with the craziness. They just don't want to be associated with it.
But you know what? In all fairness, I think that it is by design that we've seen so much partisan rhetoric, because let's be honest about it. As long as they keep us distracted with that foolishness, they don't have to focus on our issues.
That's right. That's right.
Wake up, people. That's what I've been telling people.
I all the time. Wake up.
You gotta away with the bathwater if you want to. But I mean, I've had opportunities to debate my opponent, and all she did was constantly throw in partisan rhetoric. I'm a Democrat, you're a Republican. And then she put it out there and said, Republicans are bigots and racists. And I had to say, excuse me, in case you hadn't noticed, I am a woman of color and I'm affiliated that way. So judge me on the content of my character. Don't look at my platform. If you find something that you don't like about my platform, then don't vote for me. But if you resonate with what I'm putting out there, put me in office. Hold me accountable. Because I know all the rest of these folks out here, I'm going to be holding them accountable. I have an opportunity to have a platform, and it's exposing things. So win, lose, or draw in this cycle, it is a win, because we have forever changed the political landscape. We can't go back to business as usual, because I have raised way too many issues for it to happen that way. People are awake.
Yeah,
that is so true.
And I see
Alicia's questions. So one of the things, this is really great conversation. The people need to hear this. And before I switch to the question, we're talking about voting for you, Danielle. Okay. And so what it requires is for people to read and split their ticket. Okay. And
people don't know that they can. They think that because they're affiliated Democrat that they have to vote straight ticket Democrat. That's only in the primary, but in the general election, you can play tic-tac-toe with your ballot. Okay. You can like the Democrat, the Republican, the Green, the Libertarian, the Independent, all of that. That's why I said it's up to people to really do their homework about the candidates.
I love this, voting their values. So the question to you, Faith, is what do you think we need to do in order to improve diversity in union leadership? Because you have sat at that table, so you know something Okay. That some of us, need to know and understand, especially our young people
Yeah.
um, who are coming along, because we need to really teach them, how to, they know our mistakes, but what worked. What kind of things can we do in order to improve diversity in the leadership there?
Well, one of the things we have to do as people of color and women is not to be satisfied with complacency.
Mm,
We feel like we're given a position or we're given something, and we become complacent with it. We have to, like we said, find someone to mentor, keep pushing. But and for the sake of transparency and being honest here, I'm speaking because I feel like we're sisters and we can talk. Sometimes we are our own worst enemy.
come on.
Sometimes we have sisters, union sisters, who feel like, why should it be you? Why should you advance? Why should you be elected to that position? I've been there. I'm telling you, I've been there, and it is one of the most hurtful things
It is.
happened to me. It's like, I'm thinking, they're going to be happy for me. They're going to celebrate in my promotion. And it was just the opposite. I even got asked before, well, why you? And my husband will tell you, many days I have come home crying, upset, saying, these are people that I have brought along. These are people that I have said, you can do this. Come sit at the table with me. So we have to not be complacent with what, like that illusion of inclusion. Don't become complacent with it. You got to keep pushing and keep pushing. But a lot of times we're our own worst enemy, our own people. If you've seen the documentary about who killed Malcolm X, sometimes it be your own people who be the cause of your demise. Here we're thinking it's the people across the table from us, but the whole time it's our own people. So we have to educate each other. We have to let
Yes.
know it's okay to see someone advance.
Mhm.
Just because someone moves ahead doesn't mean you're moving back.
You know what some of that issue is? If we look at it historically, okay, if you look at it historically, the institution, okay, has made it so that generationally we have been pitted against each other. We were pitted against each other, okay,
From the beginning.
across the Atlantic. We've been pitted against each other, in the cotton field. We've been pitted against each other on the plantation, in the house, wherever it has been. And until we open our eyes and understand what is at the core of what brought us here, we're going to continue to make the same mistake.
It's the truth. Yeah. We have to find our voice. We have to find our voice and not be afraid to speak up. One, when you see something happening that's wrong, or when you see something happening that's wrong against someone else, you have to speak up. Even if you're scared, it's okay. If you're scared, do it anyway.
Yes.
What's the worst that can happen? Now that's one mantra I say to myself all the time, because in order to keep advancing, I have been afraid. I've been afraid to take that step. And Alicia and I have had a conversation about something. She knows what I'm talking about. We've had a conversation, and so fear is paralyzing, and can just make you feel like, if I do this, what will happen? So we have to find our voice, develop basic skills. You have to just kind of hone in and brush up on, because they're going to attack you from every direction. They're going to say, and Danielle may know a little bit about this. They may say, oh, what does she know about politics, or what does she know about? She doesn't know anything about that, you know?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Tanya, I have watched you, okay, both as a guest on my show, as an impromptu guest. You know, when I see your name, it's like, oh, maybe she'll just
Dragging you in, doesn't she, Dan? Yeah, she just pulls you right on in.
I just
I'm
pulled
not mad.
here.
I
And
am not mad.
you put a hat on the last time too. But I have watched you, okay, as I have watched many of the candidates in this election. And you are a strong candidate with a platform that the people need to hear about. And your platform is really one that supports, faith in her efforts, okay, to represent all of the citizens. So why don't you take an opportunity to share with us, what's your platform for jobs and labor? Because that's what we're talking about here.
So I actually have kind of put together a plan that brings back industrial manufacturing to the state of Delaware.
Oh, wow.
One of the things that's underlying of a very key concern about being able to pull manufacturing to Delaware is our enormous, expensive energy cost here. So the renewables portfolio standard has us paying astronomically more than what we were ever supposed to pay in our electric bills every month. It was supposed to cap at 3%. It's like 19% right now, and has been for quite some time. So in doing the homework on that, we've actually been buying a lot of our renewables outside of the state of Delaware, because Delaware can't make enough to be able to support what we're supposed to have here in Delaware. Mm-hmm. So, you've been listening to some of these debates and the conversation around fracking and all of that. Natural gas is so much cheaper. And the neighboring states like Pennsylvania, because they have 90% lower energy costs, that's why manufacturing goes around us and just misses us, even though we are the best possible location to be able to support manufacturing. But because we have these people, and don't get me wrong, I'm not saying that climate change isn't real, because it is, but I'm saying that in order to be able to create an environment that is going to bring quality jobs, there's got to be a compromise here, because there's no middle wage jobs. I mean, middle class jobs anymore. You have the extreme wealthy, and you have everybody else is poor. The middle class is just about disappeared. So, my portfolio, my platform speaks to dealing with the socioeconomics of the state. We are upside down, inside out, and backwards. And that doesn't change as long as we don't have people that have a business acumen guiding the ship. We need a strong economic development plan. You'll hear people say, "Oh, well, we've developed this, and the Wilmington port has flourished, and this and that." That's a very core pocket, yes. But what about the rest of the state? Is everybody gonna leave, Kent and Sussex and move up to Wilmington? Is there going to be enough jobs in Wilmington to support that? No. We've got to do something that's more expansive to be able to change people's existence. People want to see minimum wage go up. If you look at the attrition of small business in the state of Delaware, 37% of small businesses closed their door during COVID. Okay. This is not working, and we can't get a viable pathway forward unless we get some outside the box thinkers in office to change this whole dynamic that we have here. And we've got to find a way that brings back industrial manufacturing, or brings industrial manufacturing to Delaware. I mean, if you just think about it, the wave of the future is technology. Okay. So there are a lot of jobs that have moved away because we have the machines doing that process, right? Well, who's building the machines that are building the goods? Just think about that. That's huge. So we can manufacture the machines. There's a whole technological aspect of that grows our vocations tremendously, because now we need to be able to get a bench of people together who can do the coding and the this and the that goes into that. So, we can expand our vocational opportunities exponentially. Not to mention that for every one manufacturing job that comes in the state, that has a multiplier effect of 5. So for that one job, you create 5 more in other service industries to be able to support the boom, the economic boom. So, over time, our projection for growth is astronomical, but we have to do some things that are corrective measures to start being able to take advantage of those kinds of opportunities. Those are the things that I would like to see brought to Delaware. But there again, it calls for a person who has that outside of the box thinking. Too many of these people are just, and there's no nice way to say it, they're stuck on stupid, okay? They don't want to move, they don't want to grow, none of that. I was listening to Faith talk about the fact that, we have that crab in a pot mentality. They see someone like me, and I don't mind sharing my ideas because I don't have to have the credit, okay? But you did hear my idea here first, right? You did hear my idea here first. But the thing is that we have so many people that see the light shining around you, and they do this. Where are you going? Come on back down here. Stay with us. And they try to take away from whatever energy you have. And you talk to people around me, there are a few people that I call friend. I have a lot of associates, okay? But there are a few people that I call friend, and I see myself on my corner, but I'll come out of my, my inner circle to be able to do work in the community and give what we need to get things done. But you have to guard your heart. Before I'm all these other things, wife, mother, veteran, businesswoman, I'm a child of God, okay?
Yes.
And that's first. So my Bible teaches me that we have to guard our heart, because I was there. And I have cried those tears. I got goosebumps. Lord, don't let me preach my sermon, because there have been some people who have used and abused and hurt me. I got them where they needed to be, and they stepped on me in their haste to get someplace else. And I said, that's cool. I'm glad I could be a part of your journey. But you got to be careful, because when you climbing up that ladder, you never know if you got to come back down it.
Come back down. That's right. You are so right, Tanya. You are. Let me tell you. You got me with goosebumps, because I'm telling you, I don't know why. I don't know why people. I mean, for me, if I have my foot on your back holding you down, then I can't rise.
That's right.
So why would I want to hold you down? Because that not only holds you down, but it weighs me down.
It's a culture.
Yeah.
And we have to change the culture in order to get past that. And the only way we do that is by continuing to press our way through. It doesn't feel good, but you know what? Like I said, win, lose, or draw, I'm not a one and done person. I think that we need to have some things change here. I've been on the forefront of leading that charge for some years now, and I'm not going away. So, they're going to see me in their face from now until kingdom come, until change comes, because we can make that happen.
Yeah,
I believe that we can make that happen.
Yeah.
My father went to his grave a fighter. I love my dad. My dad was one of the founding members of the House of Pride. I was telling somebody the other day that the opioid epidemic wasn't an epidemic until it started taking out our lighter complected people. Okay,
You know what?
then it became a problem.
Yes.
We were talking about all the violence going on up in Wilmington. As long as we killing each other, it's okay. Let somebody else get killed from an affluent piece of the.
That's what I said too, Tanya. I said let the killing start happening up in Hockessin. Let the killing start going further. Then you will see some change. And I see Apostle Frank Burton on here. I said, when you asked me to come on, and I saw that he was on the week before me, I was like, why did she do that to me? Why would she have me follow a
Come on and preach, Apostle. Jump on here.
Let me tell you, he's not only a mighty man of God, he is a longtime family friend of my family.
Oh, wonderful.
How much I love him. He just holds a special place in our family and in my heart, and I love you. But I was so nervous following him on Talks with Tanya. I just want to get that said.
It's really just a talk, and this is no accident. Okay, this is no accident. You know, I served. Yes, I served my time in corporate America 40 plus years, and I learned a lot there. Okay, I went through a lot, and I learned a lot. Okay, and one of the things that I found myself to be extremely good at is identifying outstanding leaders, okay, and identifying opportunities for collaboration. And I cannot come off of my show without saying there is a natural collaboration here between Faith and Danielle, okay, and it's about raising raising not only women, and we're talking about women because that's who we are and that's what the topic is, but it's a known fact is women rise, so do our families, okay, and so do our men, okay. They're able to step into the position of kings as they are, and that's something I said to Apostle last week, okay, is about the need for the community, for us as women and as men, people of color, okay, to make the connection and make the change. So for me, what I love about what you say, Danielle, you're talking about so that all may prosper.
That's biblical.
Yes.
That's biblical.
So that all may prosper. We cannot continue to operate the way that we have operated in the past.
We are
already know
our blessing. We are living beneath our blessing.
That is
what we're talking about is raising the standard.
Yeah,
that's what you're talking about.
Yes, absolutely. And I love what you said, Tanya, that this is no accident that this happened the way that it happened. I believe that this is divinely directed. And like you said, Danielle, win, lose, or draw, I want to continue to work with you and to hear your thoughts and just to be able to sit and talk with you, because regardless of what our differences are, our differences make us better, and we learn from each other. And just the little time that I have met with you and spoken with you tonight included, I've learned so much, and I just see a light in you. I really do. And
don't make me cry, please.
Don't make me cry. I am such a crier.
I'm telling you, I do. I feel like it's rare that you find women that get it, that see it, and I always say, because you see it in me, it's in you. If you see it in me, then it's in you. So that's what it's gonna take us working together, regardless of what our differences are, regardless of where our paths are, how we got to where we are now. We can't forget our journey, but that was along the way. We are where we are now, and like you said, I believe this is divine direction.
This really is. It's critical for us to not just talk about it, but be about it. And the two of you have taken the risk, okay? Because this is a risk. When you're going home crying, to your spouse because, you're out there, in the world and you're getting beat up. But no one, I say this every week, no one is coming to rescue us. Okay?
No, we have to
conversations are what's going to make a difference. You know, voting for Danielle Hall is going to make a difference. You know, and I heard this earlier today, you're a fiercely independent voice, okay, putting family first, okay, that family that was running behind you, and the one that keeps coming in here looking over there, and the one that
right.
you know, not, you know.
That's right. That's what we do it for.
Yes, because we're going to hold them accountable. Okay, hold them accountable so that we can all prosper. Now, how do we do that? We do that by what Alicia is saying, by voting your values. Voting your values. To me, it's a no-brainer. Okay. Danielle, you have presented something to us that says, you know, we can create jobs here, okay, in a different way to really give people an opportunity to earn a living wage. You know, I was looking at some data and it said that women, workers of color, are far more likely to be paid poverty level wages.
Yeah.
Wages.
Yeah.
You're talking about bringing manufacturing, okay, and exposing, you know, workers to an opportunity to learn technology, use that technology, and leverage that so that our families can prosper.
Prosper, yes. And they need to be union jobs.
Absolutely.
Union jobs for citizens of the state of Delaware, not having jobs like at the Amazon plant, bringing workers in from Tennessee and Maryland. And
80% of that work left the state of Delaware. I'm having conversations with one of my union brothers down here. He's an iron worker, and they strike. You know, so this is how that was worked around. So that plant is being built on public property. It's not state, so it's not a state project. So it wasn't subject to prevailing wage. Okay? So they have people that are making between $15 and $20 in pay gap difference for the same job, and they're getting away with it.
Yeah, they are. They are.
You cannot delineate between what the state's contribution was to the project from the private funds. They get away with that at UD. They get away with that at Del State. They get away with it at any and every place that commingles state and private funds.
That's right. That's right.
And unless you're on the inside,
I don't know. That's why they don't want somebody like me, because I want to see the book. Show me the money.
Show me the money.
Let me tell you something. They don't like it when we know things. They don't like it when we, you know, they want to say, oh, she reads. Oh, she knows things. They don't like that. So
let me tell you, I had 8 babies when I went to school and finished my undergraduate and my graduate degree. Okay. I have been hurt by every conceivable policy piece of legislation that is Delaware. Okay. There is nothing worse than someone who has an axe to grind with a system that has thrown them under the bus, run them over, and is educated.
There you go.
Okay, because I could tell you about yourself, tell you what's wrong, and tell you how to fix it. Okay?
You know, it is imperative. Alicia said it. We have more in common than different, and we have to elect Danielle Hall. Let's get to work. But this is how this happens, okay? How it happens is doing it the same way that Danielle is doing it, okay? Spreading the word, sharing the message, telling your family, sharing her name, picking up the phone, you know, sending the text that says, when you go to the voting box, okay, vote for Danielle Hall.
People, you got
make You may know the difference because you know she shares a common piece.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
So find Danielle.
Danielle. Let's get Danielle.
That's it.
Let's get Danielle. The second one on the box. You know why I know? Because I just did it.
You know what? And I was loving it. They gave our race like primary placement on the mail-in ballot because there's president at the top and then there's lieutenant governor right next door.
Wow.
Right column.
Yep,
So
sure
people have been showing me their ballots, and they were Biden voters, but they were Danielle Hall voters too. So they knew how to split the ticket and get it done. And I'm not mad.
Absolutely. You know, it is
Well, I
time.
just want to say I am so happy and honored to have shared this interview with you guys.
Yes.
I really am. So I was nervous coming on here. Just
What's your beautiful self? How you gonna be nervous? Look, I'm looking at the background. I see faith. I see hope. The only one that's missing is love.
It's there. Look.
There it is. It's a divine assignment. I believe that. You know, somebody spoke this into my very young life. I was 27 years old before I came back to Delaware from Charleston, where I was stationed. And they told me that I would be and do great things and that I held people's blessings in my hand at 27 years old. Now, the next 20 years was full of hardship and pain and struggling. But you know what? Iron sharpens iron. And when you are burned by fire, you come out pure gold. And I couldn't talk about the things that I talk about in my platform if I had not lived it, been there, done that. I don't want to go to anybody's church that's standing up in that pulpit that can't tell me how they made it through their struggle. You cannot testify to me if you have no test.
That's right. That's right.
That is absolutely true. Ladies, this has been an amazing discussion. Like, I should have just thrown all the papers away. Because, you know, when it's a divine assignment, it's going to happen. It's going to happen. You know, the sign behind me on the other side says renew.
I see that.
Yes.
I don't have my glasses on to see the other one. What's on the other sign?
Achieve.
Okay. Thank you. I'm getting old. At 50, things started breaking down on me. I found out I had body parts I didn't know I owned till they hurt.
Till they started screaming at you, right?
Yes.
I love it. To my audience, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Alicia. She always gives us food for thought and keeps us, you know, at the top of our game and understanding and asking the right questions. You know, to my viewing audience, I appreciate you, ladies. Faith, Danielle, thank you so very much. I'm going to ask you, though, I'm going to ask Faith first and then Danielle for just a closing thought.
My closing thought is, as I always say, you know, we rise by lifting others, and let's just start waking up as a people. Let's start waking up as a people, and let's start tuning into our strength as women, knowing that we are stronger together. And if we come together, we can achieve anything. We can do this.
Absolutely. Danielle?
Queen, fix your crown. Love that. Love that. We gotta fix each other's crowns.
Absolutely.
You know, we have, you know, I love walking out in public and saying, like you, girl, them glasses are fly. You do that. You know, it's so easy to compliment someone else, but so many people have that negative thing. Oh, she thinks she cute. Girl, you fly.
Yes.
You doing that. You know, pay it forward all the time. You know, you didn't get there by your own strength. In some instances, somebody somewhere helped you along the way. So you have to reach back and help somebody else up. And that's what I tell people all the time. You can't pay me for the things that I do. I've helped people incorporate their businesses at no charge. I said, when you get where you're going, you find somebody around you and help them get where you are. Okay. Just pay it forward all of the time. That's how we rise together. It's got to be intentional. You got to step out with intentional positivity on your journey. It's so much easier to smile than it is to frown. It really is. It's somebody's blessing and just not ever even know it. My kids, they oh my goodness, Mom, do you have to talk to everybody in the store? Yes, because I find the person who looks like they have had the worst day ever, and it's my journey to put a smile on their face.
Yes,
love it.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be all good. You're gonna go home. You're gonna kick your feet up, and they said, "Oh, if you only knew." I said, "It's gonna be all right." You know, it takes such a little thing, just little things to make a person's day better. But Faith, you have my number.
I do.
Okay, if you go a week and I don't hear from you, I will find you. Okay.
It won't happen. You watch.
I love this.
Yes. We have work to do for sure.
Yes, we do.
Yes.
Tanya, as always, I love you.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
My girl power circle. I just absolutely love the energy.
This has been amazing, amazing. And you know what? This is not going to be an illusion. Okay. This is for real. You know, again, my closing words are this: vote for Danielle Hall. Okay. And to my audience, I love you and stay inspired. Thank you so very much. Take care. See you next week.